Now I'm going to introduce another writer who is known as a writer and a blogger, and that is Doc Webb, Doc Gene Webb. And but before he was a blogger, he worked for many years in the city of St. Petersburg. He has a degree in business, and he has a degree in electrical engineering. He's been in the aerospace industry, and he worked for the city of St. Petersburg for over 28 years. Is that right?
That's right.
And was on the leading edge of technology and computer applications for the city. We are so happy that you're here, and we're so grateful to you for the support you've shown us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here today. Just a couple of quick observations. A lot of people don't know what bloggers do. We're some people think we're reporters. Other people think we're writers. The truest definition of the word is really we write kind of our opinions. So just a couple of quick things to start out with. My favorite political line of the week, and I think he just stepped out the door, came from Norm Roche. When he was asked about the horrendous gap in funding between him and his opponents in the upcoming election, Norm's comment was, "I have enough money to do what I need to do." I thought that was the greatest. I'm also sure he could use a little more, so if you have a couple of spare bucks after you give him no tax for tracks, well, that would be a good one. Second of all, there's been a lot of talk about David and Goliath. You know, the issue with David and Goliath wasn't resources. It was faith and belief. That was the difference, and that's what we've got here. We believe in what we're doing. So in just a few minutes, Barb Hasselden is going to give you the details on no tax for tracks position on the Greenlight sales tax referendum. I want you to listen really closely to this presentation when you hear it. I've heard it a number of times, and every time I've heard it, the thing that has impressed me the most is nobody attacks on the facts. And the reason why nobody attacks on the facts is because, as was mentioned earlier, those facts, for the most part, come right from PSTA's own documentation. I totally agree with what you're about to hear, but I oppose this sales tax referendum for an even more fundamental reason, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. It's a bad law. Let me repeat it. It's a bad law. If you vote yes on this tax referendum, you make what you're voting for a law. If you haven't read the sales tax referendum, the actual language that you are voting into law, you need to read it. If you can't find it, you can find it on my blog on Patch, my blog on Bay Post Internet, and you can also go right out to the county and find it there. It's a bad law. It's a bad law. I worked for the city of St. Petersburg for a little over 28 years, and I was in the senior management team. I wrote ordinances, I reviewed ordinances, I read a lot of them. This ordinance you're being asked to approve is the most poorly written piece of legal language I have ever seen on a ballot in my entire 40 years in Pinellas County. If you want to read my view of the ordinance on a line-by-line basis, it's out there. You can go to Bay Post Internet, just put that in Google, go to Patch, any of the Patch sites, click on blogs, click on mine, scroll down, and you'll find a 12-post review of the ordinance itself. The ordinance is just a little over 5,000 words. The recent interlocal agreement that you may have heard about that was struck between Pinellas County and PSTA, which attempts to put some controls on PSTA and the money and salve some of the concerns, is just a little over 7,000 words. That alone ought to tell you all you need to know. These interlocal agreements were supposed to go into place after the Greenlight plan was approved. But because of pressure from you, from No Tax for Tracks, and from a lot of people in the media, the ordinance, this forced PSTA's hand. They had to go to the county and get this agreement negotiated quickly so they could come back and say, well, there are some controls on this money. And we know how PSTA follows agreements, if you've been following Mike Deason. Here's the Cliff Notes version of the 5,000-word Greenlight ordinance. The PSTA, the National Association of Realtors, the big developers, most of the chambers of commerce, and the consulting companies who design and oversee the building of overpriced, over-budget train projects, and those who will make millions issuing the bonds and servicing the bonds that this tax referendum will support, is brought to you in a great big box wrapped in pretty paper with pictures of buses on it, and inside the box is a $2.2 billion train that you will never ride. That is the Greenlight Ordinance. This ordinance, which will become a law, does not commit to any bus expansion. Read it. Find me in there one word that says, we will expand the bus system. Don't read too hard because you're not going to find it. And keep in mind this, the interlocal agreement between the county and PSTA is just that. It's an agreement. And we know how PSTA honors its agreements. No one yet has yet to do a legitimate study on taking $130 million a year out of this local economy and spending the majority of it to pay for service on revenue bonds, not jobs, revenue bonds, to buy a train, and what that will do to the community and what it will do to the community's economy. How many jobs, how many tourist visits, and how many companies thinking about relocating may be lost to the fact that we have the highest sales tax in Florida. These people will tell you, well, trains bring business. They bring redevelopment. You know, companies won't move in here if we got a train. Now, companies won't move in here if you got the highest sales tax in Florida, because who's going to pay that? Their employees, and their employees are not going to be really happy about it. So a lot of what you hear is just not real. And finally this, there is no provision or limit on the bonds or the borrowing in the ordinance. Let me repeat that. There's no provision or limit on the bonds or borrowing in the ordinance. That's what you get if you vote yes. However, the interlocal agreement attempted to put some control on that. They said, well, you know, you can run the bonds over 50 years. And then you can renew them twice for 20 more years each. Add that up. That's 90 years. That's a 90-year mortgage on this county. That would mean this. A baby born on the day this tax starts, living its entire life in Pinellas County, will pay this tax all of its life, including on the urn or the casket they're interred in. His child or her child will pay the tax all of their life, and their children will likely be paying the tax after both their grandparents and parents are dead. Do you want to do that for a train? No. I don't. And think about this. Once the bonds are issued, the tax cannot be eliminated by law. You can't get this group back together, start another referendum, and cancel the tax because it's illegal. You can't do that. That's something you got to really think about. That's a mortgage I would not approve. All of this for a train that goes between two places few people want to travel between, winds its way around the southern part of the county so that real estate people, developers, land speculators can make several fortunes, while the people who really need public transportation may get some buses. So remember this, when you open that mail-in ballot that's going to show up here real quick, you know, pretty soon, that package is going to show up in your mailbox. Or before you go to the polling place, Greenlight is not about public transportation. It's all about green, but the green is money. Yeah. The people in Hillsborough County, thanks to this lady, got it right when they sent Hart and the county commission back to the drawing board and said, hey, come back with something that makes more sense than this, because what you got doesn't work. And what has Bob Buckhorn said lately? We're going to watch Pinellas County and see what they do. If it wins over here, they're going to feel reinvigorated, and she's going to have to go back to work and work really hard. Yeah. But if it loses over here, the whole region's going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to do something right. And I know that the people over in Hillsborough County aren't necessarily smarter than we are over here in Pinellas County, so we need to do the right thing and vote no. Remember this, it's a bad plan. It's a bad deal. It's a bad law. We need your help to get this word out to your friends and your neighbors. I blog about it 2 or 3 times a week. You know, forward my blog on. I'm on Sharon's blog. You know, right down at the bottom, there's a little thing that says email, click that, put in an address, and that'll send the whole blog to whoever you want to go. It's real simple to spread this word. You know, it's real simple to spread the word. Talk to your friends in the neighborhood. Talk to your friends at church. Get a yard sign. Stop by the desk and make a donation. You know, come on, open up the wall. I just made my second one to this. And if you haven't made one yet, I would certainly encourage you to do so. Make it $1, $5, $10, $20, $100. If you're really big, do like the National Association of Realtors did, $250,000. We can take that tonight. Let me ask you this. Why do you think the national, not the county,
That's right.
not the state, the National Association of Realtors would kick in $250,000 to support a referendum in Pinellas County, Florida? Why? Why would they do that? Because right, they expect to get it back several times over. So follow me as I follow Greenlight at Baypost Internet. You don't have to just remember Baypost, put it in Google, you can get it there. Follow me on Sharon's blog, I on Tampa Bay. If you're familiar with Patch, which is a Hail Global National media, most of the areas you live in still have a local patch. You can find us there. And social, here's the interesting thing, and I'll close with this. Social media is the only place you can go to find dissenting voices on Greenlight in this entire county. Every newspaper, every other media outlet, with a minor exception, most of the electronic media outlet are either on the side or in favor. Social media is the only place you can go. So get your friends on social media. Like us on Facebook, pick up these articles, retweet them, put them on Facebook so that people will see them and read them. Thank you for coming out here tonight and giving me a few minutes to talk with you. I feel very strongly about this, as you can see, and I really encourage you, get involved, become part of what's going on here, and make a real difference in your county for now and for a long time. Thank you.
You know, that reminded me of is, like I said, we have about 109 days. What, sorry?
I have a question on it.
Oh, okay.
All right, sure, you
Do
like
you
to.
think there's any hope the fact that David Jolly and Mike Easton are investigating throwing down the last little thing about PSTA?
The question is, do I think that there's any hope that the investigation's being pushed forward by Mike Deason over at Channel 10, who's a great guy, along with Noah Bransky. I know him much better than I know Mike. And also now Representative Jolly has kind of stepped up and said, hey, look, you know, we probably really may take a look at what's going on over at PSTA. Do I think that's going to make any difference? I think it may make some difference, but you've got a pretty slick bunch of guys running PSTA. I mean, I got to admit, I wrote this, so I'm not saying anything I haven't already written. I saw one of the best political tap dances I've ever seen by a non-elected administrator the day Deason's first piece ran on PSTA misusing funds. And if you've never seen that, I think Deason's got it. He may have it out there, but it's out there on the internet.
Yes.
You watch Brad Miller try to weasel word his way through what they are doing. And if there's no other reason in the world to vote no on this thing is, let me ask you this question. You really want to turn $130 million a year over to those boys?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.